I think the message there is you do need these side letters, the adjustments and responses to local pockets of dislocation, whether they're temporary or permanent. We have to be empathetic to those issues as opposed to steamroll through with the purity and the sanctity of free trade without any of these. And the solution is digital on both fronts. Digital to make it more inclusive, what you're doing with your platform. The WTO on their website, they have exactly the same plea to G20 right now, which says, let's make it more inclusive for micro, small, and medium enterprises to get together. And the other area where digital will help is enhancing transparency of what's going on so that people don't mistrust it as much as they do right now.
Alice.
Listen, we're in danger of, like, every Davos panel suffers from the same thing, which is violent agreement amongst the panelists. So what I would do is just push the envelope, because I agree with everything that Lutfey just said. And I would say then further, it's about people. And so what we should be asking ourselves is, who are the voices that we're not hearing from? Who are the people that disagree with us the most? How are we going out and engaging them? How are we then, as business leaders and as political leaders, finding way to include those people that quite rightly are saying, this is still not about me? So that's our challenge.
Yeah. Two things come to mind about China. Firstly, a couple of years ago, when it looked like steel prices, other commodities, the prices had come down, there was a suspicion that they were dumping steel at below market prices in Europe, and not enough was done to address that suspicion. Yeah. And when you don't do that, then it clearly dents confidence. Flip side to the story, there's a small town called Peoria in Illinois. You need to take a small aircraft from Chicago to fly in. I did that about 15 years ago. The entire town is branded by Caterpillar because they're the major only employer there, about 12,000 employees. So when China was rotating its economy away, it looked like they were going away from heavy infrastructure. It was going to impact Caterpillar, and potentially that entire town could have been unemployed. So there, the clamoring was more in favor of China, please buy our stuff a little bit more. I just read recently that Caterpillar is moving their headquarters out of Peoria, nothing to do with China. They just want to be in a major city. So it's a complex relationship. We've got to make sure that we tell both sides of the story. Yeah.
Sorry,
I think the TPP story is instructive on many levels as to how not to do it and how to do it. How not to do it, we hadn't learned from the experience of NAFTA version 1, when Ross Perot called it the sucking sound of jobs leaving America. That was his slogan of NAFTA. And TPP got politicized very quickly and easily because there wasn't a lot of transparency with what was going on. And I think when we talk about solutions and what needs to be done, digital-led transparency of the process is an important part. Yeah. You now look at why is it that now there seems to be an agreement without the US, and it's because it's not the same TPP. This is now, I think, the Canadians are calling it the progressive TPP, a trade agreement, which basically means a free trade.
Comprehensive and progressive.
Comprehensive and progressive.
Trans-Pacific partnership.
So, which is to suggest the previous one may not have been comprehensive and progressive enough. We're learning, and what it really means is that it's not the same sort of untrammeled free trade agreement. You have side letters. You have a side letter for labor rights in Vietnam. You have a side letter for indigenous stuff in Canada.
Culture.
So this is pragmatic free trade agreements. Hopefully it's not an euphemism for protectionist free trade agreement. And if you consider it that way, there isn't that much of a difference between the Trump approach and the Trudeau approach. You just have to walk up the promenade over here to see the Indonesians, the Indians, just clamoring for more trade. This reputation problem used to be an issue in those countries, and it's flipped now. Because trade used to be associated with big, bad multinationals who used to cost us our jobs, who used to pollute our lands. It's completely flipped around because you've got software programmers, startups in these countries who are hooking up, and they want to do more of that. I met somebody yesterday. She is from Pakistan, lives in Singapore, has a company, a software company, with engineers in Israel and in Punjab in Pakistan. She's doing a Skype conference call from here with them. So it's a very different world, but the stories need to be told.